Starting on our journey, and as you will observe, this is the classical Bellamy long. It's really long. And what I've done with our piece is I'm making the head area larger, and then I'm having to foreshorten it, so I'm taking it down to 32 inches, and as you can see, I'm flaring up the ends here and here and here, and making sure I have a higher degree of height here, so when I round this over, I'm going to have a nice feather there. And the same thing on this other side. But basically, this is 32 inches versus the 49 inches, I think it is. But basically, what we're having here is a foreshortened piece, but still a lot of style and a lot of flair to it. Fast follow up on the mahogany. I didn't want to use a 2-inch piece because sometimes you'll get some warpage or some bending in it as it ages out. When you put two pieces back to back and and you make the grain go in the opposite direction, you get a much more stable piece than what you would have had if you just used one thick piece. So laminating it adds that extra degree of stability and gives it a much more better presentation. Starting the creation of the Boston Bellamy Eagle. A little bit shorter than a traditional long Bellamy Eagle, but she will have a banner that will be installed or carved into her when the body is completed. As you will be observing, here's the end grain. This grain is coming down, this grain is going up, and by compressing each other, both pieces of wood against each other, it stabilizes the wood and allows the wood to stay straight and without having to have any problems of it warping at a later date. But overall, you can see the pattern that I made. I generally make a pattern for my eagles before I start them. That way, if it has a sister down the road, it makes it a little bit more time efficient for me to have the pattern already made up. But as you'll be observing, that's the first stage. Next time you see her, she'll be cut out and I'll be starting to carve her. It's going to be an interesting journey. Hope you enjoy it. Well, our Boston Bellamy is all cut out. Now, you notice how nice straight sharp edges will give me nice straight sharp feathers when I'm done. This part here, a little bit of I want to get as much maximum around her head area. This will be carved down when I start laying in her neck and her feather areas. And of course, I've done a transfer pattern to transfer my pattern onto her. Next time you see her, I'm going to be putting on a white or an undercoating. As any artist with a canvas, you basically prime the canvas. What I do with my wood pieces is I'll put down a layer of white, and then I'll draw in my pattern, and then I'll start carving. It gives me more clear, sharp definition versus having a hand-drawn, semi-rough presentation. But that's it for now. More to come as we proceed. Enjoying our progress. Bye. I wanted to share the process or the progress at the same time of our Boston Eagle. As you will be observing, this is going to be a lot higher. It's going to round off and flow into the next feather, and then the next one, and then until we have the whole wing area done. Now this is going to flare up and then flare down and come up. This is going to flare down into the overall body. Her head or neck or beak area is going to come out of this larger area that I had made actually larger, so the head would be more bulbous and really come out and be a lot more prouder than it was in the previous Bellamys. The same aspect of the same process is going to occur over here. This is going to come down, flare up, then flare down into the body, and this area over here is going to flare up. Just wanted to show you the process before I get too far into carving her. I think sometimes you'll see some big pieces that have been snapped off already. It saves me a lot of time by cutting the edges and then just popping out the pieces versus sitting there and chipping sometimes. But that's the process so far. I hope you're enjoying the journey. The Boston Bellamy, as you will be observing, I'm going to have a sweep to this side, and this end's going to sweep down, up, and then down, in, and then up again. So it's going to have a flare to it this way when it comes through with the ultimate carving of the piece. Again, the same They go this side, down, up, and then up again. And of course, here's the back side of it. I've already attached the back side of the head. And I'm doing something uniquely different for this piece. Each feather is going to be flaring up, connecting to the next one, flaring up, connecting to the next one, flaring up. So each separate wing or feather is going to have a flare to it, or an upturn to each one. So each one's going to have a distinct separation from the rest of the carving. And here's the head. This, of course, is going to be rounded down and into the body so it'll flow in smoothly. But there she sits for right now. More to come as I proceed. A follow-up to my last video, and you'll be observing how the head is now going to be coming down and flowing down. The feathers will flow into the body this way, and I'm going to have the feathers flowing underneath her neck and into the back side. But it's going to have more of a sweep to it. It's going to be very, very proud and very strong. I just want to, with the blocking before, you couldn't get an idea of how smooth it's going to actually be. You can see the top side now. And again, stand back a minute here, and you'll get an idea of her presentation. It's going to be a real beauty. Now, of course, the band is going to be coming down, flowing down along her body and coming out, then flipping up on this side. Right now, the band doesn't have any motto on it, but then again, somebody might want to have a motto put onto it. That's going to be up to my patron. But I think just an idea, or something that's just popped in my mind, a nice little motto onto it would be very nice to have. That's it for now. Bye. Wanted to show you or share with you the difference between my two Bellamys now. Of course, the long one is classical, and the smaller one now is going to be the Boston Bellamy. But the head's going to be a little more prouder, a little more higher than the other one, and the feathers, you'll be viewing these now. I'm forming a flare to each one. Everything's going to have a flare to it. Even this is going to have a little bit of a flare to it. And as you're seeing, I'm developing that as I'm proceeding. The neck is going to be longer. Her head's going to be, I'm going to take this in a little bit more so it flares out. And the same thing on the other side. It's going to flare up, flare up, flare up. Much different from the static line on the classical Bellamy. More of a change, a little bit more of an interpretation on how she will present herself. But it's going to have a much more flare up and a flare up on both sides. I think this is pretty well going to be a real beauty what she's done. Bye for now. Further progress on our Boston Bellamy. You'll observe how the feathers are really starting to take a tapering effect and working up and up and up. I'm undercutting the back side on each one so the other one will flow into it, and it will flow into the other wing and flow into the other wing. The last 3 or 4 will have a long sweep to them versus the first 3 here, which will have a tapering in, tapering in. And you see the back side here, you can see this, what I'm doing here, undercutting, undercutting, and then a one long flow outward. And you'll see how that is appearing. This will come up more, this. They'll all have a great big sweep or swoosh to them, much more than what her mother is. And you can see the head area here, real fast. You see how that's connected. We'll be back to normal right there. But I think overall she's progressing nicely. More to come as we proceed. Hope you're enjoying the journey. Bye for now. She's becoming more and more uplifting. And what I mean is, I'm going to show you right now, is how the ends are really starting to flare up. A lot more than last time, but again, it's a process of a little bit at a time, but the ends are really starting to come up a lot more on each side. And you can see this, actually see this, the shadow underneath, and what you're going to have here is the whole piece is going to be away from the body, the whole bottom of it. Our bottom area is really going to flare out and up. Compared to, as I said before, the static flat area of the Bellamy long. Just another step along with the process, wanted to share. I think it's important that you see the process as much as the finished product again. Or in this case, carving. The journey sometimes can be a little bit, how could I say this? You see something and then you start working on it, oh, that doesn't look right. But what I'm starting to do here literally is starting to dip the feather down so it's going to have a flow in. And little by little, all these feathers are going to be flowing in and having a curve to each one of them. Same thing with the big feather here is going to flow in. This whole area is going to have a curve to it. The same thing with the other side you can see of her wing. Everything's going to have a flow to it. And then we have right here, you can see how each one of these is flaring up, flaring up, flaring up, and then flaring down and flaring down. And then it's rounding off and coming up on each one. So each one's going to have a flare and a curve and a flip to them. It's just a process, a little bit at a time. You work on it, you think, and you can get more of an idea how it's actually going to have a shadow or an underneath to each one. It's a process. It's something that you just working on it, you get frustrated, but all of a sudden it pops on you. That's all for now. Bye. The sound you hear besides my great voice is rain coming down on my skylights. It's raining pretty hard here today, but I wanted to share this with you. Again, as you're going to be observing, the piece is really coming away from the surface now. And as an overall, it's going to have a great overall flip to it. Come down here some more and you'll be able to view the development on the front side. Now, on this particular piece, it's going to go on a mantle, and the mantle is going to be high enough where people can actually see behind the piece, or see the piece as it's hanging. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting to round off the back, so when it's up against or hanging from the mantle, it's going to have a full roundness to it versus a flat, static back. It's going to have a much more sculptural form to it. I think it's going to be a lot different than anything I've done before and a lot more detailed in a lot of ways. More to come as I progress. Bye for now. Our Boston Eagle is coming more and more to life as I add or take away, I should really say, here underneath sweeping it. And you can see all the way out to the opposite end. The same process. She's really coming to life. I'm going to take this now and just show you the top side. Again, I think she's going to have a lot of viewing from the top down as much as she is from the front and bottom up. And put this way real quick. You can see the bottom back side. How this is all a detail on the back, which is just as important to me as the front. And the back side of her head, I'm going to be installing or carving in her eye on the back side. And again, this is the top view. Hope you're enjoying the journey. Well, here we are, all carved, and you'll be able to really see the presentation of how the wings flare up and away from the body. Overall presentation, I think, is very nice. And next stage will be me putting the banner in, laying that out in the right direction. It's going to be a little bit of a process, but I think it's going to be fun. But as I said, we're pretty well on our way with her. Next thing I'll be doing is laying in some feathers, but before I do that, I'll be laying in the banner. And that's it for now. More to come as we progress. Bye. I wanted to pause here for a moment to show you the progress on our Boston Bellamy. And you'll be observing that the head is attached, and I'm putting in all the details, starting to lay in the details of her head and her backside. Now, what I'm doing on the backside here is quite different than I've done before. I've actually rounded off this part so it's going to flow back into the piece, and it's all going to have a curve to the whole back side of the wing. And you can see the feathers starting to flow down. but it's going to be a completely different presentation as far as when it's up on the wall. You ought to be able to have a visual aspect of clearance underneath the whole piece, which I've done before, especially for a Bellamy. 95% of the time you'll see it very flat on a flat surface, but as you're going to be observing here, everything is flowing up, around, and over. She's going to be a quite unique piece when she's done, and once the banner is installed. It's going to be quite nice to see when she's finished. That's all for now. More updates to come. Here's the side view of the banner that will be laying across the front of her when she's done. What I did is I scribed on along the body, making a template of how it's going to fit onto her. It's going to be a little bit tighter here, but the angle here doesn't show you exactly, but you can see how closely it's going to fit. But this gives me a good start on making sure she fits properly. Then I'll sand it down some more. But it's going to come down and up, and then I have a nice big flip at the end so the banner looks like it's flying in the wind. So, progressing nicely. Next step would be figuring out how long or how wide the banner is going to be, and if it's going to have an inscription or just the stars and stripes. Other than that, oh, here, you can see the back side, how that looks. I think overall, again, sometimes I surprise myself. It's the back side. So far, that's it. All right. The first stage to making the banner. You observe that I've cut out our banner. Well, as you'll be observing, it's very wide all the way down. What's going to occur now is I'm going to spend some time in drawing in my pattern of how it's going to go up and down and then come out. But that's going to be many, sand it down and reduce the thickness. But as always, you start off a lot thicker than what you're going to wind up. In this case, you're going to be able to see how it flows along the body. And then it gives me that nice little flip at the end, so it's going to have a dimensionality that I haven't had in a lot of my pieces before. But she's going to be nice as far as flowing into the body and following the contour of the body. When I go to install it, I'll be putting in some hidden pins in a couple of areas, like here and up here, and maybe one down here, so I'll have good support so it will last for many, many generations. Long after I moved on to the wood carving in the sky. Okay, here's what I was thinking about doing, making one thin line coming down and flaring out. But the more I analyzed it, it just didn't feel right. So if it doesn't feel right to me, I'm just not going to do it. So what I did is I cut out some more pieces, laminated some more wood up, and now I'm going to bring it down this way, flare it down, and then flip it up and out. It's going to be more like this, and then coming into here, and back up into her beak area. It's going to be more of a down flip and then an up flip. And of course, there's no way that you can just the way I work at things. I always put more in and then take it down, but it'll be like a pattern from here to about here, and then flipping up for a nice little pattern up into here. Something like this. Well, you get the idea for now. More to come as I sand this down, prime it, and then do my drawing. That's it for now. Bye. To give me a better idea of how I want the flow to be, I have this very bendable and shapeable tool that I've been using for the last, let's say, many years. It's actually something using graphics for designing, but you can see where the mouth, this is where the band is going to begin, flow down, come up, and then flow out, probably right about to the other point. I'm going to drop this down to about here, but I don't want to touch it right now. And then this part over here, I'll make this a lot wider. Depending upon what my motto is going to be will depend upon how wide the piece is going to be. A lot of that has to do with it, but I'm going to have a nice flow down, and then up, and then over, so it's really going to have a dramatic, and then up at the end. Much more snap to it than what I would have had previously, but I'm sure you're getting an idea of how she's going to be presented. Let me see, let's see if I can do this a little bit. Yeah, now you got it. Now we're in business. Well, that's it for now. More to come as I proceed. Once I get the motto, that is. Bye. And here is our banner. As you will be observing, it starts off right here at the tip end of her beak, her mouth, and then it runs down, and then it comes up, and it's going to flare down. I was going to have it flaring up, but the height of it would have brought it way up higher than its location needed to be, so it's going to have more of a flow and then a snap to the end this way when I finally get done to cutting her out. The hiccup that you're observing now is that you're not seeing her whole body behind here because of all the lamination I had to do to make up the piece, so I had enough of area for me to properly draw in my pattern. But that will be soon eliminated when I cut this out, and then get her ready for the painting and for the lettering, or the motto that we're going to be putting on her, or the saying, however, which way you want to say it, but it's going to be quite magnificent. It's going to have a nice flow to it, and a nice presentation. More to come. Bye. Our banner has been cut out and laid into its position. And as you'll be observing, how it flares down, comes in. I always give myself a little bit of extra across the bottom and across the top so I can sand that and go up to my line. Ultimately here, the thickness is going to be tapered down, so I'm going to have a nice thinness all through the banner, a much more thin appearance at the bottom and at the top. So it has a real fine line to it overall. But you can get the idea of how she's going to appear. And you'll really get an idea of how it's flipping up there, which I think is really cool. If I must say so myself. But I think we're on our way to our next stage, which will be sanding that in and then laying in my, painting it, and then laying in my script, and my motto. That's all for now. Bye. All together now. All together now. All together now. All together now. And you'll be observing that she's been all resanded, touched up, and any little hiccups taken care of with my polymer fillers. Now, you're going to notice here a little line there. I'm going to make the banner thinner on both sides this way so it has a really nice thin flare to it. But that will be coming up next. Sanding that down and really making it fit her body and her beak area the best I can. And of course, all these areas, everything's been resanded. I actually recarved the whole piece again to make sure my cuts are nice and deep and straight. It's just a part of the process, part of the journey. But overall, go to the back side here, and you'll see that. Hope you enjoy the journey. It's been fun so far, more to come. Zoom out. Well, here we are at another stage of our progress. I've gone over her another time and really cleaned up and made the edges a lot more sharper, cleaned them up more detail, and I've added 2 pins that will hold my banner on. This is something that I came up with that will really add to the overall strength. Now there's a pin underneath this part of the wing also. Now I'll take this and move it up to here, like that. Now that pin's going to be in there, and I'll epoxy that in when I have it all carved in gold leaf. That'll be the final stage of our journey here. Basically what you'll have is a piece that will have complete stability and strength to it, and then at the same time float. Let's see from the top side here a little bit. How nicely it fits the body and flows right down along her whole body. Then down to here, you'll see how that flares up again. And you need that extra strength. And I'll give you a little heads up, and that's going to be our motto, or our saying. Until the next time, bye. Well, we're all painted. You can see the red. And here is our banner. And how that appears. Now, the only change you're going to see here is I've decided to put a white background and put red stripes up on here on the front of the banner. So I have a banner that will have the red stripes up here, it'll be red, white, and then the blue. And then this is all going to be hand carved and then gold leaf. And it'll be downhill after that. The whole piece is all done. And she's outstanding. I must say so myself. I think she's going to be a real beauty when she's done. And I think that's just about it for now. Bye. Our Boston Bellamy coming to her final stages. As you will be observing, there's 2 brass keyhole slots right here, and these are the screws that will hold her onto the, I guess you'd call her board that I take her home on. It's her nest, so to speak. And this will lock it into place when I'm carrying it, and it will reduce the chances of it getting damaged or smudged or touched. And this is our little strength through piece. And how she's going to look there. And my great Italian gold leaf from Seps. My duck sizing from Seps. And my cotton gloves. I always use cotton gloves once I start gold leafing a piece. It keeps the oil and fingerprints off the gold leaf, which ultimately gives it a better shine. But as you can see, the next time you see her, this backside will be done, and I'll be starting on the front. Bye for now. The miracle of gold leafing. As you're going to be observing, you'll see that little black line that I had pointed out to you before, but what you're going to be watching now is how the gold leaf just blends right in to where I have the surface sized, and it becomes part of our carving. She's now and forever gold leafed. Carefully rubbing it in so you don't rub it off too much, but basically you're getting that concept of how it goes. This side, that just blends right into the surface, and how it's disappearing. Truly amazing. No matter how many times I do this. And I want to get enough gold leaf so it wraps around the piece. That's all for now. More to come as she progresses. And here is my presentation on the back side. You can see a couple of spots here. I'll wipe that down, but mostly it's clear and clean. We've got a few what they call Hollywoods. That's where you can see the red showing through a little bit right there. I'll be touching that up. And this is the back side of her head. And that came out really nice. A few little touch-ups here. We'll do the touch-ups, and then she'll be getting put right side up and then being attached to her nest for carrying home. And what I've done differently here, I'm going over here now, is I've decided to make the end here, let me get my finger here, right along here, that's red. So it's going to be red, white, red, white, red. So it's going to be, the whole band is going to have a whole red and white to it. Then we'll go down into the rest of it. Once I get that done, then I will proceed to go leafing it. But this is our next stage of our journey, and I think she's coming along nicely. More to come. Turn out the lights. The party's almost over, and as you will be observing, our Boston Bellamy is all gold leaf, and here is our banner with the red, white, red, and then the red again, beginning in the blue, and then straight through peace. Yeah, I think that came out quite nicely. Difficulty was the ends. Sometimes they're so small, so delicate. You had to be really careful when taking off my mask. But overall, she's ready to be made whole and finalized again. And you'll see the 2 pins that I'll be using right there. I'm going to hold her onto the surface permanently for as long as she will be existing, hopefully, a long time after I'm passed on. And I just want to say again how great this Seps gold leaf is. I just can't get over how well it covers, and the paint is absolutely gorgeous too. That's it for now. Bye. She's all together now, and as you'll be observing, the banner how it flows down her body, up, over, and down. This is going to be a side view, and you can see how it flares up at the end. And her wings, the bottom wings all flare up. There's a nice flare to those. And all the wings have much more of a flare to them than the traditional Bellamy, and her presentation really came out great. Gold leafing, the painting, the products, the Hollandaise paint, and the Seps paint, Seps gold leaf. Well, all I can say is, as Steve Jobs always said, the journey is the reward. In this case, the reward is going to be a very nice piece for our Boston Bellamy. I hope you've all enjoyed the journey. Thank you. You can see how she has a completely distinctive flow to her versus the traditional Bellamy. Flow up. The gold on here is it's fantastic. I found a new company that supplies my gold leaf for me and my sizing, and it's made a big difference in the quality of my presentation. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed the journey on this one.